Hello chess family, it's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're going to take a look at the San Antonio Club Championship Round 2. Now, we had some fireworks this round, so let's go ahead and take a look at the first game. It was me playing against local favorite David Pacheco. He just took out one of our experts the other day, so I know I had to be on my A game. He got the white pieces, and well, he played a very interesting opening. Let's take a look. E4, C5, you know I like to play my Sicilian, and here he played a very interesting idea of pawn to A3. I'm not too sure why he played this move. I think it's because sometimes I do play the Khan or the Tomanov system, so I think that was supposed to be against it. That, or maybe he had the idea of playing pawn to B4, which is a wing gambit idea. With that being said, one of the ways that you can kind of hop around this is playing pawn to G6. Now B4 won't be as strong because bishop G7 can get played, and well, this kind of gets a nice tempo off the rook. So back to the game. Now we go ahead and transpose, and he played pawn c3. Now he switched to an Alpin, or c3 Sicile for the kill, as James Canty likes to say. Knight f6 attacks the pawn. I'm just going to jump into some of my prep now. Pawn to e5, knight to d5, d4, pawn takes, bishop g7. Here I'm very happy with my position. Knight c3, knight takes on c3, pawn takes on c3, castles, bishop to d3. This move is already a little scary for me, just looking at the position, because, well, you know what? He hadn't castled yet, and I was a little worried. Maybe h4, h5 can be a little aggressive. So here, let's go ahead and start breaking up the center. Pawn to d6. And here, again, David is just coming at me. He played pawn to f4, which I love. This is a very strong move. It's something I would play myself. Let's go ahead and keep developing our pieces. Knight c6. And here he went ahead and played knight to f3. And definitely not a bad move by any means. I do like the h4, h5 ideas, but yeah, because of these kind of ideas, I go ahead and play bishop g4. I developed my last piece, and well, I did have a tactical trap here that I was hoping he'd fall for, and well, luckily enough for me, he did fall for this trap. Mind you, it's still a few moves away. And here, well, best move is to go ahead and castle, which will stop my trap, but here, because he was playing so aggressive this game, I thought he might play this. He went ahead and played pawn h3. That's okay, I want to take. He took back with the queen. And now, well, it's black to move and win some material. Go ahead and push pause if you want to and try to figure out black to move. What do you play here to win some material? All right, if you push pause and try to figure it out, here you have the very nice idea of pawn takes on e5. I mean, well, who's not going to take back with the f pawn right here, right? F takes on e5, and here you get the very nice idea, bishop takes on e5. With the idea being, if he does take back, knight takes on e5, and here you get a nice fork attacking the queen and the bishop here, and you even get it in check, so the king will lose its right to castle. And this is, man, computer's giving this a -7, so this should just be a winning situation pretty easy. With that being said, after bishop takes e5, he saw this, and he went ahead and played bishop to e3 here, killing my idea. That's okay. I was able to snag a pawn. Bishop back to g7. Castles happen. Rook over to c8. Again, I'm just completing my development here and, you know, gonna bring out my pieces and attack. Here, rook to a1 got played, and this was another inaccuracy as two pawns are left undefended. Simple chess. I wanted to move my queen anyways, so queen to a5, just attacking on c3 and the a3 pawn right here. Bishop e4 got played. I'm not too sure what his idea was. One of the ideas is if he ever tries to play pawn to d5 here, well, the knight just jumps to e5 very securely here. So, well, which pawn do you take? Is c3 best or a3 best? Now, taking on a3 will give you a passed pawn. Mind you, it's going to take a while to get it across the board. Rather, taking on c3 here definitely is best, because not only do you win the pawn, you're still attacking a3, and now you've created an isolated pawn here on d4, as you can see, becomes a target. He went ahead and played rook to d3, attacking my queen. Queen back to a5, and here, well, a final blunderful move. He went ahead and played rook to c1. What do you do in this situation? Black to move and win. Alright, hopefully push pause, try to figure it out. Here the idea is the rook is really not being protected. Overloaded piece with the bishop and the rook. What do I mean? Here you can take on d4. Perfect timing here. As well, if they do try to play the rook takes on c8 into Samoa, they go ahead and play knight takes on f3, check, and you're just winning the game. And well, you can't take on d4 without leaving this rook unprotected. Here David, unfortunately, he just kind of collapsed underneath all the pressure. He played rook takes on d4, and now it's a nice forced win here. Even worse than the other variation. Rook takes on c1 check. And here his only try was to try something like maybe, I guess it was king h2, maybe rook back to d1. Either way, all these variations are just losing. And he just went ahead and played king to f2, and well, he walked into mate here with queen to e1 for check and mate. This was a nice little miniature here with 22 moves. Let's go ahead and go on to our next game, where we have Smoot or Logan versus Darshan. Here, this is a very exciting game where we got to see a very nice King's Indian defense. Here we go. d4, knight f6, c4, d6, knight c3, g6, e4, bishop g7, knight f3, castles. This is all the main line for King's Indian defense. Bishop d3, I don't believe this is a very good move. In fact, bishop g4 here is going to be very good because it's going to get rid of the knight, which is defending the dark squares over here with pawn to e5 later on. So, well, bishop d3 got played, and here, unfortunately, he went ahead and played knight to e8. Now, this is not bad by any means, but, well, there's much more aggressive ways to play this. And the idea of knight e8 is that he wants to play f5 at some point. I do recommend you play the e5 pawn move or the knight to c6 first, and even bishop to g4. Alright, so knight e8 got played, castles, knight to d7, bishop to e3, and here we go, he goes for it with pawn to e5. Things get very crazy very fast. And well, computer does give this a +1 situation. It always gives white a +1 situation when you're playing the black side of the King's Indian defense. Although if you ask Nakamura if the King's Indian defense is okay, Nakamura has plenty of beautiful games showing him beating some of the strongest players in the world. Alright, d5 gets played. Here he's trying to close the center here, which makes sense. Typically, white wants to close the center and then go queenside, and then black goes for kingside attack. Well, I guess Smoot did not know this, or he just did not care, because he goes for kingside attack pretty fast here. f5 got played. Let's go ahead and open up on this kingside. Pawn takes on f5, g takes on f5, and now these pawns are looking very menacing. Already e4 has a threat, f4 gaining space has a threat. I looked over and saw this, and I was like, wow, this looks like a very fun position for both players. Alright, knight g5. Here Smoot saw the weak e6 square. Knight to b6 covering it. Queen over to c2. These light squares are very weak, so you can see how Smoot does a very good job on putting pressure on them. With that being said, well, it is an equal game here as far as computer's saying. h6 kicks the knight, knight back to h3, pawn to f4. Nice move here. Not only does the pawn attack the bishop, but it gets a nice tempo over here. You can see the kingside attack is coming. At this point, Darshan now has the advantage. Now, there are some weaknesses here as the light squares got weak, right? We did open up these light squares. With that being said, well, Darshan is winning here in this position. Bishop to d2, and, well, he plays the strongest move here. Black to move, what do you play? Keep forward with his attack, pawn to f3. Of course, pawn cannot take for multiple reasons. One being that if you take right away, you're going to lose your bishop over here. The other one being, why open up the g file and give yourself double pawns over here, right? So, well, here after f3, here he goes ahead and plays knight to d1. A very interesting move here. And unfortunately, Darshan does not play the best move here. He went ahead and took on h3. Remember, in the King's Indian defense, this light square bishop is very important. So, after this, bishop takes h3. Now white is just in a better position. Pawn takes back. Queen to d7. King to h1. And now we see that, well, white's going to use this open g file to attack with. The light squares are weak. Man, I'm very impressed with how Smoot played this. Queen takes on h3. Threatening a little checkmate, winning a pawn. Does not matter. Rook over to g1. King to h8. Rook g3. A nice tempo move here attacking the queen. And also getting ready to double rooks on rooks over here on the g file. Queen to h4, bishop to c3. Yeah, here the bishop got moved here. This was not necessary. Here, just playing knight to e3 looks like a far stronger move. Here, again, it's going to look at the light squares and again get ready to double these rooks. That's okay. Bishop c3 got played. Knight to f6. And, well, again, not the best move here, but I could definitely understand where Darshan's coming from. He's trying to get his other rook into the game, and so moving this knight has to get played here. Unfortunately, I think he was thinking about e4 here, but this e4 plan doesn't work, as you can just take on f6 and then on g7 over here. So, bishop c3 got played. Knight to f6, knight to e3. Oof, knight f5 is being threatened. Rook takes on g7. Knight h5 got played. Rook to g4. Again, a very nice tempo against this queen. Queen e7. Rook over to g1. Bishop to f6. Knight to f5, you could definitely see how well these pieces are working together. And, well, white's pieces are just way too strong in this situation. I don't think there is a bad piece in this game. Each piece of white is doing their best job over here. Queen d7. Knight takes on h6. Knight to f4. This knight looks strong, but, well, this g and h file, it's just a +9 position, or basically up a queen over here. Bishop to f5, very nice tempo here. Queen to e7, rook over to g3, f3, pawn is falling, rook h3 ideas are in the air. This knight's pretty much untouchable, oddly enough. Bishop to h4, trying to get a tempo, but this does not do anything. Rook just takes on f3, and now a new tactic is in the air. Hopefully you see it. Unfortunately, Darshan missed it, and he played queen to f6, white to move. What do you play here to win some more material? All right, hopefully you push pause, try to figure it out. Here we have rook takes on f4, and of course the pawn cannot take because bishop takes f6 check over here will lead to a mate, and also you're going to be losing your queen. Unfortunately for Darshan, he tried to go ahead and play queen takes on h6, but this doesn't work either as rook just takes on h4, and that is game over. All right, our last game we're going to take a look at over here is Antonio versus Ed Paul, or Eddie as he likes to go by. The opening was pretty quiet. They had a Scandinavian over here, but I do want to point out this very nice endgame played here by Eddie. All right, pawn b5 got played as, well, you can see this knight's very well placed attacking on b7. So b5 gets played, and Antonio plays a very cool move here, pawn to c4. Of course, if you take, things do not go well here. White's winning. Bishop takes on c4 check, and you can see the light squares are weak, and, well, these pieces are just getting very active. So, of course, he did not take. He went ahead and played pawn to a6, just defending. I do like this b4 move even better over here. As you can see, this knight is doing a great job. And you can see that the dark squares are very weak here for white. And, well, knight e6, d4 should get played at some point. So, he went ahead and played a6. Rook over to c1. A nice little idea, looking at playing pawn takes because you want to attack the undefended knight. But this just gives us a free tempo. Pawn to b4. Here, Eddie goes ahead and corrects that move. Pawn g4 gets played. An interesting idea. Maybe knight to f5 in the future. Rook f to d8. And here Eddie does not waste any time. This d file is not being controlled, so he's going to control it all by himself. Rook back to d1. Rook to d7. Let's go ahead and double the rooks over here. Knight to f5. Bishop takes on f5. A very good move. Here I hope Eddie was already planning this, but here he's trying to get a good knight versus a bad bishop. Because all the pawns are on the light squares, well, this bishop is just bad. It has no squares to move to. So here, if you get that knight to d4, it is pretty much game over. G takes on f5, rook over to d8, rook takes, rook to d1. Here, unfortunately for Antonio, he just goes down to a terrible endgame. Here, trading rooks is good, but I like the idea here by Eddie. Rook over to d4. Of course, you're more than welcome to take here, as after e takes d4, now I have a passed pawn here, and this king will come in on the dark squares, and, well, this should just be a very good game. This is already up -2, meaning black is up 2 extra pawns here, as far as the computer says. All right, b3 got played. a5, king f2, a4, pawn takes, knight takes, and now you see that, well, this just definitely did not help out white at all, as now you got 2 isolated pawns over here. Taking, well, it was a little hard to not take on that kind of situation. King to e3, pawn to c5, and here, unfortunately, rook takes on d4. Yeah, unfortunately for Antonio, he just walks right into it. E takes on d4 check. King over to d3, game over. Knight c3 forking the bishop and the pawn. And this is a big deal because, hey, isn't the bishop defended? It is defended, but, well, we can't really defend this pawn over here. I mean, even if you could defend the pawn, the knight takes should go into an easy king and pawn endgame. Well, here, unfortunately, Antonio, I think he just freaked out. He played king to c2, and knight takes on e2. The game was over. And just a nice few final moves over here. King b3, knight c3. a3, pawn takes, king takes, d3, king b2, d2, and, well, there's going to be no good ways to defend from winning a queen over here, or making a queen over here. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. Remember, this was San Antonio Club Championship Round 2. Round 3 is next, and I'm pretty sure I'll be doing a review over that one and also Round 4. We'll see you in the next video.